Speaking of which, you got a big game on Monday night. How concerned are you about your team looking past Saturday? You think that might be a problem?
Hasn't been so far this year.
Have you been happy with that?
Yeah, no, I think the guys have done a good job, and we're in the position we're in. I was remarking to somebody that our game on Saturday is for first place. The game on Monday could be for first place. Then the game on Saturday could be for first place, and the game the next Wednesday could be for first place, but only if you win. You got to win to compete for first place, and in this league, everybody you're competing with at this time of the year is battling for that same title. So these are very challenging games, but ones you look forward to.
And in this situation, it's really easy to take it one game at a time, isn't it?
Well, it's something everybody's got to prepare themselves. And it's what we have to understand is even though we can look at it from the outside and say this is the most important time of the year, you got to remember these are kids who have other things going on in their lives. So for every guy, it could be different. Someone could have a family problem. Someone could have a girlfriend problem. Somebody could have an academic problem. Everybody's got issues. Life is never about being problem-free and only being able to focus on one thing. The term that has become very popular is you got to be able to multitask, and you got to be able to separate and focus on one thing at a time. So we tell the players, when you're in school, you focus on your schoolwork. When you're at practice, focus on your basketball. And, if you are home late at night and you're tired, get a good night's sleep and focus on resting and recovering. That's a big part of being able to play well. Guys who don't eat well, don't sleep well, it's a struggle for them. So it becomes harder and harder to play really, really well when you're fatigued.
Speaking of not feeling well, what is the latest on Jaquan?
He's okay. He's going to practice today, and he'll play on Saturday.
Is he 100% for Saturday, or is he going to be limited?
Well, that I don't know yet. We haven't practiced yet today.
So North Carolina, you've had very good success against them. What are you expecting on Saturday?
Well, they were the preseason favorite to win the national championship. They're in first place now, tied with us, and they have the preseason player of the year in Marcus Page, and they might have the odds-on favorite to win it now in Bryce Johnson. So they've got a great program, a great coach, a guy who's in the Hall of Fame already, and they got a very experienced team at every position. Joel Berry was the 3-time state player of the year here in Florida. Justin Jackson is destined to be a first-round draft pick when he turns pro. Bryce Johnson and Kennedy Meeks are two of the best interior passers there are in the country, and then you add Hicks to that group, and it doesn't get much better than that anywhere in the country.
Look at the numbers Bryce Johnson can put up. Is there anybody that that you could compare him to?
I think he's a little bit like Antoine Jameson, the great All-American from North Carolina, because of how quick and efficient he is. Doesn't take a lot of time with the ball. He runs the court as good as anybody in the country. He's a fantastic offensive rebounder. And he went 13 for 17 last night. That's a pretty good night. And add to that, he had 19 rebounds.
What about catching them at this particular time, coming off
coming
a
off
real
a
emotional
loss?
game?
Again, as I've said so many times before, every game counts as one. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing them after they've won a bunch or lost a bunch. The game is separate and to itself. It doesn't mean that the team you're playing isn't impacted by what happened in their previous games, but we're more focused on what we need to do. And We know Carolina's offense and defense is like a machine. They do the same things and have for over 50 years. You can basically predict the way the game is going to be played. You just don't know how you'll play against it.
Why do you think you guys have done so well against them? Because you have a very good record against them.
Well, I think we're 4-3. We've won twice at Carolina. I think some of it is we've had experienced teams. When we had the championship team, we had a lot of experience on that team. Then the next year when we beat them there, that kind of was a surprise, I think, to everybody. But we played them a certain way, and we had size. With Carolina, it's not just that they're a terrific team on the first shot. They shoot a very high percentage, but they're the best team in the country at offensive rebounding a miss and sticking the ball in the basket.
Is this game and this stretch a time when your experience will be particularly valuable, you think?
Well, it'll certainly be helpful. Experience, it comes in many fashions. One, Angel Rodriguez has never played against North Carolina. He was hurt last year. And Sheldon McClellan has only played against him once, and we lost. So it would be better if the experience was everybody had played against him and we had won, and we knew how we had won. The only guy that has that kind of experience is Tanya Jakiri, who won in his freshman and sophomore year.
You seen them? Are there any other teams that, I guess, get up the floor quicker after you've scored?
No, two teams in the whole country, North Carolina and Michigan State. They score within 5 seconds after you've scored. A lot.
Obviously, both are concerns, but they're rebounding, and that are those the two primary areas that you could be.
Yeah, if you don't take care of the 5-second layup and you don't take care of your defensive backboards, you're going to get your lunch handed to you.
Jim, are the guys a little beat up? I don't know if Tanya was
Yes.
Is that normal for pretty much every team now, or more so for you guys, you think?
Well, no, I think every team. It's February. They played 25 games or more, and guys are sore, beat up. Not a lot of time to recover in between games.
Any worries at all with any of the guys having to limit their minutes because of that on your team?
Well, we're not going to limit their minutes based on how sore they are. You know, they've got to fight through that. But based on their performance, if they're tired and are not getting back defensively because of that fatigue, that's different. But I think the adrenaline will be flowing. The tough thing will be to then turn around, fly back, and get ready for a Virginia team.
Mindful that you do have another tough game 54 hours later. Do you coach any differently? Do you divvy up the minutes there, or is this everything all in on this one game?
No, every game, whether it's the first game of the season or last game of the season, you're trying to win the game. Now, in the beginning of the season, you have more goals than just winning the game. You want to win the game. That's the number one priority. But you want to maybe play some of your young guys and give them experience and see what they can do under game conditions. But at this time of the year, you should know pretty much what to expect from each of your players. And now it's just a matter of trying to get them to play at the top of their game.
You guys have a shot at Joe Barry? Did you talk to him? He's from the Pop. I'm just curious. I hate to.
I spent more time. Joel Berry was our primary target and we started recruiting him when he was in the 10th grade, and worked very, very hard for the next 2 years. And the only thing was I was happy at least he made an early decision. He's going to go to Carolina. He did it during his junior year, and we didn't have to spend another year and a half recruiting him and find out he's still going to Carolina.
So you competed against Carolina on many like, many levels, I guess, and
Yeah, I mean, during the course of my coaching career as an assistant coach, I recruited against Roy Williams. As a head coach, we've played them a number of times. Not when I was at Bowling Green, but at George Mason, we played them. We beat them in the NCAA tournament in 2006. We lost to them on December 7th, 2004. We actually led 49-47 at the half in Chapel Hill and had 3 starters get hurt at halftime right before the half ended, and ended up got blasted in the second half and lost 115-89.
Do you always remember the
wow,
exact date?
that's what
He remembers that
Or is it
one.
just, is that Pearl Harbor Day, is that the reason?
No, we just talked about it as a staff, and so we Googled it, and you can find everything on Google. And I just said, what was the score at halftime? I know we led by 2. No, we were up 49-47. When was that? That was in 04. Oh.
What was the first time, you remember this, when you went into Chapel Hill?
As an assistant coach, yes.
Yeah, with Virginia, well, yeah, of course, with Virginia. Okay, let's go back to head coach, because you would have gone in there every year as an assistant.
Yeah, it was that game in 04.
So that was the first game.
Yeah.
And what was any different than it will be coming in now?
I got a lot different team now.
Sure, and you have a much better chance, I would assume.
Well, it's funny, but we lost to them in 04 the way I described it, and 2 years later, with a lot of those guys back, we beat them in the tournament because those same players were sophomores. And when they became seniors, they weren't intimidated by anybody. I think that when they were sophomores, they were happy and excited to play North Carolina, probably didn't think they could win. And then at halftime, we were ahead. They thought, oh, man, we can win. But we had 3 guys get hurt and had no chance.
I guess that's the idea with any team going into there, especially a young team. You guys aren't a young team. Were you guys over that hill of, oh, we're playing Duke, or we're playing North Carolina?
Honestly, I've never felt that way as a player or as a coach. I just look at it, how does our team compare to their team, and what do we have to do to win the game? I remember when I was at Bowling Green and we were taking our Bowling Green team to Kentucky, play at Rupp Arena, and Dave Hackenberg, the writer for the Toledo Blade, called me and wished me luck. And I said, well, you're coming, aren't you? And he said, no, we can't afford it. You guys know what budgets are like. I said, so you're going to miss out if we beat Kentucky? He said, come on, you're not going to beat Kentucky. I said, we might. We got the kind of team that will bother them. And we ended up beating them 56-54. No. I did think what was funny, that was in the first round of the UKIT, University of Kentucky Invitational. And so Kentucky played in the consolation game.
They didn't do that very often.
Ooh, ouch.
The place was packed and going crazy.
They probably had a bigger crowd for the consolation.
And then for the championship game, the place was empty. Came out, 24,000 people left.
Who did you play in that championship game?
I think we played Arkansas State. They drilled us. And we were still celebrating the Kentucky win. They haven't had it? No. Now they have to play some nationally televised game. Thank you, everybody. Sure.
We were talking once before about the stats or the analytics that you use during a game.
Yeah.
To make decisions during the game. Can you elaborate a little bit more about which particular things you rely on that maybe your assistants are compiling or that you like to look at?
Well, the two main statistics are the defensive efficiency in each of our defenses. And right now, we're really only playing 2, man and zone, 3-2 zone. So like our man-to-man defense last night was .79. that ties the best we've had all year long. In the zone,
What does that mean?
I'll tell you, in the zone, we were 1.3. What it basically means is on every possession that we played zone, the opponent scored 1.3 points. And against our man-to-man, they scored 0.79 points. Well, the difference is if the opponent was 1.3 for the game, we would have lost. And if we were able to defend everybody at 0.79, we'd be undefeated. The other statistic is our offensive efficiency with each offense. So we have different zone offenses and man offenses. And we keep track of how we're doing with those. And everything is based on the number one. Because we believe if we can score more than 1 point per possession, we'll win. As long as we hold the opponent under 1 point per possession. So like last night, we scored 65 points on 67 possessions. Not a great offensive night, because in that first half we were abysmal. And despite the fact we shot 68% in the second half, we also had more turnovers than we normally do, and that also, your field goal percentage can be misleading. I've had teams that gave the opponent 63% field goal percentage for the entire game, and we beat them by 30 because they didn't get any shots. We stole the ball from them. Our pressure defense bothered them. They turned it over. They had 24, 25 turnovers that led to a lot of the easy baskets for us. And even though their field goal percentage was high, their offensive efficiency was very low, their points per possession. So those are the numbers that I want in my ear at every timeout, so that I know whether I should stick with the zone or get the heck out of it because they're drilling it. And you think you might know that from just watching the game, but you don't. No. There's just too many things going on. Because at the same time, I'm trying to track minutes. How long has Sheldon McClellan been out there? How long has Angel Rodriguez been out there? Who's been out there the longest, and how long has that been? Because we don't like anybody to play more than 8 minutes in any one stretch. But sometimes you can't avoid it. Like last night, Sheldon McClellan picked up early fouls and only played 8 minutes in the first half. So in the second half, I didn't take him out to the very bitter end because I knew he was well rested. He was only going to play at the maximum, 25 minutes, having sat out 12 minutes in the first half.
How many possessions is this team averaging a game? About 60, 70?
Yeah, around 60.
When did you last play zone in the game? And I assume you got out of it real quick once you heard that number in your ear.
We normally play zone for 6 points. So if I tell the team switch to the zone, I'm willing to give up 6 points before I make a change. If that 6 points takes 2 quick threes, we're out. But that 6 points could take 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on how efficient the other team is.
Who's keeping track of that?
My grad assistants, we got a staff of a zillion guys. We got 14 managers and 4 grad assistants, basketball ops, 3 full-time assistants, a water boy, a video guy, assistant video guy, an associate head coach. We got a lot of people working for us. Got Kat here on the camera. Amy, she fills me in on our plus minus after all the games. So that's another number.
Plus minus.
So you know, like, okay, who's producing for you? Right? Which units are producing? So if a guy individually is like a plus 10 in the game, you're looking to figure out why. Is it because of the guys he was in with? Then you look at the lineup. Oh, yeah, he was in with the other guys who were really hot, and they played really, really good, and he kind of joined them. But if someone is like a -7 or something like that, why? Well, it might be he was in with a bad group, And you can't just judge the individual based on what his plus minus is. You got to be sure you look at the big picture as well. That's why people in the NBA that are using analytics, a lot of them did not play. So they don't really understand what the numbers could mean. They look at the raw number, and that doesn't tell you anything. You've got to look at it in combination of other things. And I'll use the example, academics. One time I scored a 72 on an exam, and when I saw my score, I was absolutely beside myself until I found out I had the highest grade in the class, and it was an A. So it's in relationship to others and other things.
Do you rely on that differently or more than you did 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah, because we have more. We have more information. I go to KenPom about every 10 minutes.
5.
No, 10. When you look at the numbers now, you know, you're not just looking at a raw number, like field goal percentage. I told you that could be based on how many turnovers they average. Rebound numbers, that could also be based on turnovers. Why? Well, if they turn it over, they didn't get a shot, there is no rebound. All right? Early in the year, we were not a very good offensive rebounding team. Why? Because we were making every shot. There just weren't a lot of offensive rebounds to get. We were shooting like 60% from the field. Now, we haven't shot as high a percentage, especially from three. Now the offensive rebound numbers reflect, hey, we need to do a better job on the offensive boards.
Is that what you saw in last night's stats, or I don't know what the numbers, I don't remember what the numbers were. I just remember you lost by 1.
On the rebounds,
Yeah.
yeah, but in the second half we shot 68%, so there's not a lot of offensive rebounds. We did a better job on the defensive backboards in the second half. We gave up 9 offensive rebounds in the first half, and I think 4 or 5 in the second half.
Is there ever a risk of like too much data?
Always. There's always too much.
You lose sight of.
You got to be very, very careful. The great part for me is I have a wonderful staff, and I've said this from the very beginning. One of the things I value so much in hiring a coach is intelligence. I like to surround myself with smart people, and the guys on my staff are a lot smarter than me, and I can get really good information and feedback from them, and I rely on them very, very heavily for accurate information.
I assume the 6 points, when you go to a zone, you're going to give up 6 points just to switch out. You figure they got comfortable, or and just to give them a different look immediately, or?
Well, the way we look at it is we want to hold an opponent to 60 points. Not going to do that every night, but like last night, we won 65-49, so we held them under 60. 6 points represents about 10% of their scoring, right? So if you do that each half, that'd be 12 points out of the 60. That's 20%. So that means we're basically playing the zone 20% and the man-to-man 80%. And that's about the right breakdown for us.
For this team, or is this like a?
For this team.
So I'm just curious, your calculations change with each team now?
Of course,
Yeah.
because like a few years ago, we were a team that played almost, we were a man-to-man team. And 2 years ago when Ryan Brown and Garius Adams were seniors with Rafael Akabajuri and Eric Swope, when we got into the ACC, we played 80% zone because that team, first time in my coaching career that we ever started a game in zone, never even started a game in zone defense. But you have to look at your personnel and decide how to utilize them to the best of their ability. Not my ability of what I would like to do, but what they're capable of doing. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.